We're expanding.
Also here, yeah, we are expanding. So we did a lot of interviewing. But first, okay, so I know a couple of you, but I need a refresher on names. So Courtney helped me out this morning, but are you listening? Barry. Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Josh.
I know you, Josh. I can't ever remember. All right. Yeah, I remember.
Emily.
Emily, great. And are you all psych majors?
Just a senior psych seminar.
Seniors?
So.
Okay, making sure I have the right class. Great. And I'm Jessica Morrow. I'm a graduate of here. I graduated a long time ago. In 2006, I was a behavioral science major. They had psychology and behavioral science, but basically the difference was a math credit, so I'm not going to lie, I took behavioral science because math and I don't get along very well. But I had the privilege of attending all 4 years here and then using that behavioral science degree in an area I never thought I would in human resources. So it's interesting what all you can do with the degrees that you have. But before I get going, can you guys tell me a little bit about what your plans are after this? So you're graduating in May, I'm assuming almost everybody. What's your plan after this, starting with Courtney?
I'll find a job working with kids and eventually like soon go to master's school.
For counseling?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Barry?
I'm only a junior, but I haven't gotten a degree yet.
That's totally okay. Josh?
I want to be the GA for Coach Mulder while getting my MBA.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to graduate school in Lubbock, and I don't know what job I'm going to get yet.
That's
I'm
okay.
looking right now
What will your graduate program be?
for marriage or counseling.
Okay, counseling. All right.
I'm just a junior too, so I have no idea what I want to do.
What we did was
That's okay.
we made the senior seminar every other year, and I've included, I want juniors to take it.
Yep.
So it's kind of misnamed because of this, because I want them to think about it in their junior year, not their senior year. Because if you start applying for colleges,
Yeah.
you really need to be thinking about it in your junior year.
Yep.
Really be, or even thinking about job. Did you say MBA? Is that new?
My master's in business.
Okay, I guess I didn't know that you decided that. I was just
Oh.
curious.
Yeah.
You gonna do it here?
Well, I talked to you about possibly doing it, yeah,
Okay,
and then made a decision pretty recently.
okay. Well, that's why I was hoping that was true, because I didn't know that you made the decision. So you're gonna do it here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So you'll be around to hassle.
Well, they may not have told you yet, but there's an interview process that goes with becoming a GA. So you will be
So this is the
interviewing
inside
with me.
track.
Yeah, you will. So, all right. Basically, in a nutshell, tell me an hour, 45
Yeah.
minutes. How long? Okay.
We have till 10.
So, interviewing is one of my favorite things because it gives you the opportunity in like 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what kind of job you're interviewing for, to show who you are. And it's kind of a challenge because you're going to go in a room typically with strangers and sell yourself. I mean, there's an aspect of marketing to this because you have to prove that you are the right person for this company. And if it's something you're passionate about, you have to prove that not only are you the right person, but you're the best person. And so you have 30 minutes to an hour to show them this. And you don't necessarily know how many other applicants there are. You don't know what they're necessarily looking for because an interview is not just do we have somebody who fits the resume requirements. It's also a chemistry match. And as psychology majors, you should understand that you can have a great candidate who could probably do the job, and if that person will not fit with the rest of the team, then that will eliminate them just as fast as having a poor interview. So chemistry is part of it. So you're presenting who you are, and the best way to defeat that is to be yourself because you want to show who you are to this committee to let them evaluate could you fit with the rest of our team. So it's not just about having all the right answers to the questions. It is about being yourself. The best way to overcome nerves is to practice for an interview out loud in the mirror. You need to be prepared. If you are asked a question and you pause for too long, I note it instantly. You weren't prepared. You were not able to answer my question. If I'm interviewing you and you ramble and you take a long time to get to the point, I make a note of that. I want someone who's going to confidently come in the room and answer my questions, precise, to the point, and honestly, probably as few words as possible, because you will be nervous. So the shorter, the better, because you will naturally be speaking more than usual because you're nervous. Most people, that's their tendency, is to ramble. And so if you're focused on, I'm going to answer this clear, precise, and short, you'll actually answer them in just about the right amount of time. The longest question you will probably be asked is, tell me about yourself. If you go over 5 minutes, in my opinion, if you go over 3, you're lingering into the area of babbling. The question is, do not tell me about your college career. The question is, tell me about the jobs that you have performed, and tell me about your work history. Sometimes it's okay if you're a family person, you're older in your career, you tell them I'm married and I have 2 kids and I'm from Texas. I mean, you can't say that, but really keep that part short. We want to know about your work history. So I have had people that we ask that question to, and we literally learned about them from childhood till that day and knew nothing about where they worked other than their resume sitting in front of me. And, okay, you don't understand the interview process. That's a problem. So be sure to practice your answers. Be sure that you know the questions that you're being asked. Here's another thing. I didn't see it on your piece of example, so I would recommend adding it in there. Most companies will say, tell me what you know about us. You better have a good answer. You better know the mission of that company. You better know some of their key employees. You should probably know when and why they started. You should definitely be able to tell that company about what their current goals are. So, taking the university, one of our current goals is growth. We are growing. We're about to triple our online enrollment. It's public knowledge. If you were interviewing for us, you should be able to tell me that. Because that is going to show your employer, your potential employer, that you are interested in them. And you have gone out and studied and familiarized yourself with them. We have not hired people because they couldn't tell us who we are. They never took the time. When we asked them, have you checked out our website? Have you read up on our mission? And they would, no. Okay, sorry. If you are not interested in who we are, that's a problem. So when you're interviewing, that they need to look like a priority to you and you've done your homework. So that's something I would add. I'll ask you a couple of questions. We'll go around there. But tell me your name.
Alyssa?
Alyssa?
Yes.
Okay, nice to meet you, Alyssa. I'm Jessica. One of the things that I'll do is ask you a couple questions that are on your forms or similar to what's on your forms. And I may have a couple questions that aren't on your forms. How many people in here have done a formal interview? Amber? Where did you, and Josh? Anybody else? Where did you interview with? Who did you interview with?
It was for graduate school,
Okay.
Texas Women's and Lubbock Christian.
How did it go?
It went well. I got into both of them, but I was so nervous.
Sure.
I
Sure.
was freaking out. So I was at TW, I was the youngest one. So I was like, oh crap, they all had experience and I'm just fresh out the womb.
Yeah. Yeah. That's intimidating. Where did you interview with?
Wilson Psychological Associates, where I'm doing my practicum right now.
Spence Wilson.
Yeah.
Yep. I know them well. Dr. Wilson, I don't know if you put on this face, but he can be very intimidating when he wants to.
Oh, I did it with his wife.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
That was a wussy. And she's great. Kristen is great, and she is wonderful in what she does. So that's great. Off the top of your head, what was the hardest question Kristen asked you?
The one you just brought up, what do you know about us? I was not prepared for
Oh,
that.
you're not prepared. Okay, well done. Thankfully, they were forgiving, but if you're going into corporate America, they probably won't be as forgiving. Amber, what was the hardest question they asked you?
I thought it was tell me why we should pick you.
Okay, good, yeah. So, remember at the beginning when I said that you're selling yourself? You should have an awesome, not out of the park answer for that. You want to be able to say, I'm it. One of the questions I love to ask, it's not on your form, is describe yourself to me in one word. So, I'm going to ask you to describe yourself to me in one word. Start with Josh because he's smart. So Josh, describe yourself in one word. And remember, it's an interview question, so time is of the essence.
Valuable.
Good. I like it. All right. Courtney.
Oh, man.
It's okay, there's no wrong answers.
Productive.
Okay. Okay. Baby.
Lost.
Yeah. Alyssa.
Adaptable.
Oh, very nice.
Dependable.
Dependable.
Unique.
Unique. Okay. So as somebody in an interview question, or asking an interview question, I'm looking for you to basically sell yourself in one word. My answer the first time I got asked that question was capable. So it's a question that will lead into a second one usually. So they said capable, okay, why did you answer with capable? And my response was, I don't always have the right answers, but if you give me a job to do, I will figure it out. I will ask questions, I will do the research, and I will find the answers. I am capable with whatever you give me. Not because I know it all, but because I'll figure it out. And they offered me the job. It was with Connie Phillips at the time. So one of the things that you need to know is you have to be able to think on your feet really quickly to sell yourself. Well, obviously, you guys, a couple of you have done it before. But that's a hard question, and they're going to ask you hard questions. So you need to try to think of things that do your research more than just what he handed out to you. What would this company, because you're going to know the company you're applying for. So if you're applying for Oklahoma Wesleyan, you can pretty much bet that because of who we are, we're going to ask you questions related to our mission. So you should be prepared in that aspect. So whoever you're interviewing with, you should research them and you should ask yourself, what kind of questions will they ask me based on who they are? One of my other favorite questions to ask people is think of your favorite instructor, I teach you guys a college level instructor, and or if you've had a lot of job experience, a boss. Think about best person you have and tell me about their strengths. What is something that you just deeply respected about them? And then I turn it and say, okay, now tell me about the person in your life, instructor or a boss, that you really struggled with, and how did you handle it? So I like to ask that question for a couple of reasons. It shows me whether or not you have the ability to resolve conflict. If you're going to have issues with coworkers, no matter what, because we're all different and unique. So you're not going to get along with everybody. Not that you won't be kind to everybody, but you're just going to have that person that rubs you wrong and you see them in the morning and you're like, I'm not ready for this. Okay. So you have to show that you can rise to the occasion and handle things well. We don't want volatile employees. When I have people that answer that question with I just ignore them or I just walk off, or that means you probably have an anger issue. If you can't even be in a room with them and resolve the issue, I probably don't want you. You're probably going to end up being pretty volatile or angry. And you're probably going to cause more strife than bring resolution. I tell my children all the time, don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. Prove that you can be part of the solution when they ask you about something that you don't go along with. Bottom line. Strengths and weaknesses. They are going to ask you most of the time, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses? They want to know your strengths and weaknesses related to job. Do not have a weakness. It doesn't go over well. We don't believe that you don't have a weakness. But you want to pick a weakness that's not critical to the job you're applying for. Okay? If you are if you're applying for a marketing job, I'm gonna take this out of your realm, thus if you will. If you're applying for a marketing job, you better be able to stand up in front of people and sell. You better sell yourself, you better sell your product, you better be able to talk to anybody and everybody. So if one of your weaknesses is public speaking, they're not gonna hire you. Don't give a weakness that's critical to the job you're applying for. Give a weakness, if you're a marketing person, you can say, I am not very fast at typing. I really need to work on my typing skills. Great, that has nothing to do with what we're hiring you for. Excellent job, but you gave a weakness. Yes?
I have a question for you. Do you think that this information you're giving us is like worth a lot of money in essence?
Sure. There are
Why?
people who do this for a living.
But I mean, why would it be worth money to them?
Oh, why would it be worth money to them?
Or worth their time to listen to you?
Because you probably won't get hired.
And if you don't get hired, you don't get...
You don't get to pay your bills, you don't get,
So
you don't get to advance in life.
it stands to reason that there might be a quiz about what you're telling us and that people should be taking notes instead of just sitting there looking zoned out. Unless they have like a photographic memory, which that's not a problem with.
Yeah, the photographic memory.
Okay, I
and
just
then
wanted to
there's,
throw
like,
that in there.
auditory learners.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's important. So pick a weakness, have a couple of them, one or two. Sometimes they'll actually give you list 3 weaknesses for me. So I'd say off the top of your head as you're practicing, you should probably come up with a minimum of 3 weaknesses. Not critical to the job you are applying for. Don't do that, you'll hurt yourself later. But be honest. In the psychology world, if you're doing counseling, if that's what the field you're going to go into, you don't want to have a problem being in a room doing one-on-one work with somebody. Don't kill yourself. You want to expound then on your strengths, because they typically will ask you not just for your weaknesses, but also your strengths. So on the strengths, same thing, minimum of have 3 planned. Those need to be critical to the job that you're applying for. You need to know and read that job description several times from top to bottom and make notes about it and decide what your 3 strengths are going to be based on what they're looking for. So if I'm hiring you as a GA for basketball, right? Okay. If I'm hiring you as a GA for basketball, I would probably ask you what your strengths are, or someone in the room will. So what are you going to tell me 3 strengths are, and why you'd be a good GA assistant coach?
I work well with athletes since I've been around basketball my whole life. A patient person because of the teammates I've had and experiences I've gone through. And I'm a quick learner.
Okay. Here's my ding, positive criticism. I'm a patient person because of the people I've been around. Tells me that. That's not an example. I'm a patient person because what have you done that has made you patient? Because you've had to help resolve conflicts on the team. Because
So be more specific.
Yeah, be a little more detailed, because you are selling yourself, and if I feel like, well, they answered the question without answering the question, then I won't know you, because you're selling yourself to me. I want to know you. When you leave the room, I want to be like, that Josh kid was awesome. He was so sweet, and he just answered all of our questions. I mean, we're in the South, so everybody's so sweet. And you want people to feel like he is going to be dependable. He is going to be patient with our kids, because college students, because he went on the teams, and he knows what it's like to be stuck in a van for 18 hours, and he knows what it's like to be exhausted and have to push through that last quarter. We want him. But if you just say, because of the teammate I've had, well, I don't know your teammate. It means nothing to me. So. Details.
I was learning this because for I had read an essay about 3 strengths and then what would hinder us from becoming successful in our career.
Yeah.
Academics. I wrote the essay and I did my weaknesses the same as my strengths. And afterwards I was wondering if I made the right move to do it.
Tell me.
So I'm pretty sure no one's done that. But I mean, I got in, so I guess.
Well, it was actually probably a smart move, because like I said, you're selling yourself. We want to know you. If you're transparent, I can't tell you how many people cried in my interviews. Because I have. But I don't care that they cried. I hired them because they were transparent. When I asked them a difficult question, they actually got emotional. They didn't lie to me. They didn't hold it in. They were transparent with me. So there's nothing wrong with transparency to an extent. So I'd actually have to read it to answer your question, and I'm happy to do that. But I don't know that you did anything wrong with that. I don't know that that was a bad thing, because you said, hey, these are things I need to work on, and these are the things I'm already really great at. So I'm not answering your question because I hate to give an answer without actually seeing it on visual. So I actually have to see the material to answer your question. But I don't think you did anything wrong. I don't think that was a bad move. It was a gutsy move. It wasn't a bad move. I like it. A lot of people just want to see if you're going to be real with them. It's half of the interview. So when you come in, you need to practice your body language in the mirror. What do you do when you're nervous, Barry? Do you know? Do you know what your tells are? It's my hands. That's my phone. Darn my hands. I talk with my hands. And so when I'm in an interview, my hands are in my lap. And I hold them so I know where they are at. Do you know your tells? Do you know what you do when you get really nervous?
I do.
What's
I
your
fidget. I usually find something and I fidget with it, or my feet are going 100 miles a minute.
Okay, quick story. I don't have one. I should have brought one. My husband works for the police department. And when they bring interview candidates in, they purposely put one paper clip on the table right in front of where the candidate is going to sit. And then they watch what that candidate does. 99.9% of them at some point while they're during the interview, because their subconscious kicks in and they become nervous, and that thing is twisted and mangled by the end of it. It's not a we're not going to hire you issue, but just to see what you do when you're nervous. So they purposely do that, and my husband said nobody leaves the room with that paperclip intact. No, nobody does.
Is that like a thing that they would not hire you for?
No.
Oh, okay.
They're just trying to see when you get anxious what you do. You know, do you ramble? Do you fidget? Do you move? Because in the police department world, you're going to be in intense situations. Obviously, this doesn't apply to you, but they want to know what you're going to do when you're nervous, because we don't want you being trigger happy in a tough situation. So part of it is they use psychology. Psychology is part of interview processes every single day. One of the funniest questions. Probably won't get this one depending on where you're applying for. Describe what animal you were. If you were an animal, what would you eat? That's the question. I've actually heard this. I'm not kidding. It's psychology based. Because if you say, I'd be a bunny. Okay, probably my manly men won't say I'm a bunny, but if I were to say I'm a bunny, which would be a total lie, you would be saying that I'm a very soft, gentle, probably passive person. Well, that's not a bad thing. I'm a lion. There's no bunny in this girl. But I wouldn't necessarily choose lion in an interview question, because lions are aggressive. That could hurt my interview process. Now, the honest answer is lion. So if I'm going to say lion, I have to be able to explain why and make myself less aggressive. So probably the wiser move while I'm sitting there thinking instantly is to choose something not quite so aggressive, but still a big deal. I might say that, I'd probably choose a wolf, because they run in packs. They're team players, but they can be aggressive when they need to be. Now, my honest, true, when you do the sanguine, when you do the personality test, I am a lion. That's not the answer I would give comparing myself to an animal, because if you say a lion, they're like, dude, that person's super going to be aggressive. We don't want that on our team. So there's a lot of psychology that actually plays into interview questions, so you need to be prepared, literally, for any kind of question. Okay, I'm going to see if I have a couple of them that I was going to ask you guys. Giving you some background, so now you should be able to really answer all of my questions, right? And of course I close my screen in just a second. Tell me, really clearly. I accidentally closed my notes, 2 seconds. All right, we're gonna do this. You guys are, this is the group that's doing mock interviews, right? Is that right, Professor Pete?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's on the, did we decide the 16th? I think.
So one of the questions that we'll ask sometimes, depending on what you're coming into, is tell me 5 things that you would do if you were the candidate chosen for this position. So we basically just asked you, based on the job description you've read, what changes would you make coming in? It's going to show us what kind of a leader you are. It's going to show us whether or not you really know the job description, because if you answer those questions out in the right field that has nothing to do with the job description, you weren't prepared. So that's something that you may be asked. You should definitely be prepared to talk about the job description and what you would do if you were hired in that role. That's one of the big ones. One of the other ones I like is, why did you leave your last job? So it's not so hard if you're just graduating and you're going into grad school, or if you're going into a job really for the first time. Because you can say, I graduated, I had to move, so now I'm looking for new work. You can kind of stuff out. But as you advance in your career, that question will become more and more important, because you're leaving a job, you're giving your 2 weeks notice to move to another job. And if you want to move again, people are going to start saying, okay, why are they moving? Why are they leaving these jobs? Why do they have so many jobs on their resume? There is still, I don't know how much you guys have done, so there is still a desire in most supervisors to see longevity on a resume. We don't want to see that you change jobs every single year. Because why should we hire you? You probably won't stay longer than a year. So unless I'm okay with short term, I'm probably not gonna hire you. McDonald's might not care, but I would care. Here, that would be a D. There's an understanding in our generation that you want to move around in your career, you want to get a lot of experience, you want to keep moving and pushing, but be careful, you have to balance that. If you're hopping jobs every 2 years, it will catch up with you. It will hurt you later.
Just a quick question. When you're looking at it, like a resume, would you rather see more like volunteer work, or would you rather see work history?
Work history. However, I will preface that with, it kind of depends on the volunteer work and what you're applying for. So if you're volunteering your services at Boys and Girls Club, and you're going into counseling, or you're pursuing a job working with teens, that's a really big deal, because it will affect your job description. But, okay, I'm gonna pick on Josh. If you're volunteering with the basketball team and you're applying to be a professor, I mean, it's not thanks, glad you did that, but it's not critical to the job that you are applying for, so I wanna see work related to the job description. Volunteer is great if, again, I'm gonna use that word critical, if it hits that job description. But it's not a bad thing. It will never hurt you to have volunteer work on there. But it just won't bring as much weight if it's not directly affecting the job that you're. Yeah, good question. Good question. Lost my train. So you guys, when you interview, 2 things. Do not let anyone tell you that you should go to an interview in anything less than a suit. They lied to you.
In any what?
Less than a suit, or extremely nice outfit. They lied to you. Somewhere along the way, they lied to you. You should dress the part. I literally had an interview where we pretty much hired the person because they showed up ready for the day. Compared to everyone else who walked in that door, this person blew everybody else out of the park. Their interview went well, but they were ready. From the moment I stepped out to ask them to come back, and you knew that person from head to toe, they were ready. They dressed the part, they were ready. You could tell they had practice because their answers were confident, they made eye contact, they smiled. This is not the situation where you can be your introvert self. You have to play, if you're an introvert, it's okay, but this is the day where you have to step it up a notch. This is the day where you are going to practice making eye contact with people. You are going to practice having answers that are confident. You can confidently not have a clue what they just asked you and pull it off. As long as you sell yourself with confidence. And I know that sounds awful to say, but if I ask a question you don't know the answer to, and you say to me, that is a really great question. I'm not sure that I've had enough experience to answer that. Could you tell me about a time when you faced that? Did you answer my question? No? But were you confident? Yes. Did you turn it back on me and leave me to answer your question? Yep. And am I going to answer it for you? Yep. That's okay to do that. But if you're just like, oh, man, I don't have a clue, it's going to hurt you. So part of it is just practicing being confident. They're going to say, tell me why did you apply? Really simple question. Why did you apply? What's your answer going to be? So did they ask you that when you applied for grad school? Did they ask you why? What was your response?
I said I wanted to continue my education to become a counselor.
Okay, good. Simple question, deserve a simple answer, and you did beautifully. But if you just say, I've had this, yeah, I just thought this would be a really cool transition, and okay, you missed it. That has nothing to do with the job. You want to answer the question related to the job, so you do. Right? Practice dress nice, dress really nice. Don't look like you woke up 30 minutes ago. We do notice. So you need to get up early that morning. You need to look nice. You need to practice. Whatever your routine is, change it. The night before, do not stay up till 3 a.m. You will look it. Do not, if you're someone who sleeps really deeply, do not just set one alarm. Make sure you have a backup. You don't want to be late. Be up on time. Shower, whatever your routine is, run, shower, eat, be ready. Oh yeah, and eat. I know in this generation we aren't big eaters. It's really not cool when your stomach growls through the whole interview. It's not good. We don't want to hear that. Eat. It also, fruit and water increases brain activity by 15%. So even if it's that simple, do that. So do me a favor, whatever your routine typically is, because you're in college, scrap it. Go to bed by, I don't know, whatever time you need. 11 at the latest. Get a good night of sleep. Get up. Do your routine. Eat. Be at least 15 minutes early for your interview. Because even if you have to wait, it just shows that you're eager and you're ready. I'm here. Let's do this. I'm ready. If you're 5 minutes late, we're not going to see you. If you're 1 minute late, I'm probably not going to see you. It's your part of who you are is to be early and to show that you want it. Dress the part, like I said, I can't emphasize that enough, because if you don't dress the part, it just shows that you're really not that interested. And I don't care if it's for the Boys and Girls Club. You dress the part. And most people will respect it because it shows how much you want it. There's a lot of subtle, just your body language when you sit. Do be very aware of your body language. So I'm going to pick on you guys a little bit. When you're in an interview, it's okay to cross your legs or, but I actually had some, they were young, bless their hearts, and they came in and they literally like just, yeah, okay. You're in an interview. You don't sit like that. You, girl, cross your ankles. If you're a girl, don't cross your ankles if you're a guy. Put your hands in your lap, but be open. It's okay when they ask you a question to scoot up, scoot in, act engaged. When they're talking to you, you're listening, you're engaged, you're leaning in. There's a lot of body language that goes into it. Because you're like, oh yeah, you want to hear that next question. When it's time to answer, sit back, act relaxed. You're not worried. You're totally confident that whatever they ask you, you're going to be able to answer their question, even if you're not sure. So you're sitting back, you're listening, you're smiling, you're nodding because you're attentive to what they're saying to you. You're engaged. A lot of this is psychology because you have just sold yourself. It is showing that you're trainable. I can work with this person. They want to hear what I have to say. So even if you aren't the best resume, you might be the best person because I can train you to do what I need you to do. And that's what you're showing in this interview. Something to think about. But don't slouch. I mean, don't be lazy.
Don't sag.
Yeah, don't sag. And then play to your strengths. Nobody knows you like you do. Except maybe your mom, so call your mom. Mom, what do I do when I'm anxious? Ask people that know you really well. Because they will tell you, oh, girl, you shred paper. I had somebody one time, they shred paper like when they were nervous and they didn't even know they did it. It was hilarious. So it wasn't in an interview, thankfully, but in class. I went to class with somebody who did this. And